introduce yourself? I generally have people tell me their name, the area they live in, and what they do for a job. Like,
Sure. Sure. So, God, I don't want to talk with my hands or else it's going to look really weird. Brett Hofvander. I live in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, about 10 minutes from O'Hare. I work for a company called IQVIA. We do healthcare consulting. My job focuses mainly on the prescription drug industry. So, market trends, product launches, things like that. And then we're going to get into this later. I'm also president of a nonprofit called Rally for a Cause Foundation, where we kind of give back to the community through raising money with car events. So we'll get into that a little bit.
Awesome. So what originally got you into cars?
My dad was always into cars. He didn't always have a cool car, but like he was a guy that always get like Car and Driver, and we always talk about it. Way back before I was born, he had a Volvo P1800, which I don't know if you've seen, like the new one that came out is like crazy sexy. Sadly, it's $500,000 and not something I can afford. But he always had like manual cars, and then finally got a 99 Contour SVT. So a little sportier Ford Contour that I bought off of him. And then that I kind of had, before that I had a Taurus SHO, but ultimately it was, my dad that got me into cars. And, you get in that car culture, you start meeting more people, and then you meet more people. And now like a bunch of my closest friends are all people I ran into in the car community when I was like 18. So it's just kind of weird where it leads you.
So that the next question I was going to ask you just answered. So the Ford Contour was your first car?
Actually, first car was a Taurus SHO. So it was a 91 SHO, manual transmission, that Yamaha motor. I actually learned to drive on a manual transmission in cemeteries. My dad thought of it this way, and I kind of agree. It's a lot of start stops with a lot of little cross streets. You can't get going real fast, and you get to learn how to get it out of first gear easily. So kind of a good place to learn to drive.
Right on.
Can't really kill anybody there.
Yeah. Well, that's weird because two things you've already said we have in common. Like the first car that I remember riding in, my dad had a Volvo that was manual. He's been a manual guy his entire life until like recently when they got harder to find. But it was the same thing where like he made me learn how to drive a manual, but he did crappier things. He took me to the worst hill in our city.
Oh God.
And he got out and he's like, all right, you're going to drive now. And we're at a stoplight, straight up. And so this guy, the first guy that ever comes behind me in a manual car is like inches away.
And you're creeping back.
Yeah. So but same thing. What's the worst car that you've owned?
So I actually Ubered for a little bit, about 4 years ago now, maybe 5. At the time, I wanted a winter car. I just got the CTS-V wagon, and I'm like, I don't want to drive that thing in the wintertime. So a friend of mine's wife's parents were selling like a 10-year-old Nissan Altima for $900. I'm like, that's a no-brainer, right? I'm like, I'll take that car off your hands. Like crank windows. It was bare bones. I did not care. I Ubered for like 2 months, and this was when like Uber still had like a bunch of money for like promotions. I cleared like $6 or $7 grand in a couple months. I actually had a lot of fun with that car, just meeting cool people. On New Year's Eve, I actually went out to Uber. I got like surge pricing. All the drivers were downtown in Chicago. I'm like, I'm not gonna make money there. There's too many drivers. So I went out to Highland Park, Lake Forest. It's more affluent suburb, and I got an 8X ride. And I show up, and it's in like this cul-de-sac down a dark road, and there's like 10 kids in the street. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Oh, there you go. There's my first fuck. I pick it, like, and then this mother comes out, and she's like, you don't mind if you take 6, do you? I'm like, as long as the meter's running. She's like, okay, good. And here's a bottle of Woodford Reserve for you. I'm like, oh, okay. I got no issue with this. I think I pulled $200 plus the bourbon on the ride. I'm like, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. But yeah, that was definitely the crappiest car I had. It ended up taking a shit a year later. I started at my parents' house, and then in the summertime I went to go start it up and just dead. Right? I'm like, okay, well, let's like process through this. I'm like, fuel pump's working, new battery. I'm like, spark plug. nothing. And then like I do a pressure test in the cylinders, and a couple of them were like at 4 and 5 psi. I'm like, okay, we're done with this. Done with that car. So bought some snow tires and ended up driving the V in the winter.
Nice. What is are you just, what's your current car? Do you have another winter car?
No winter car. I've got a 2017 Volvo V60 Polestar. So like the Volvo, AMG or S-Class or whatever you want to call it, M badging. 376 horsepower, 380 pounds of torque, all-wheel drive, snow tires, absolute blast to drive. Got Olin suspension all the way around. It's definitely my rally car too. So I surprised a lot of people on the rally in that thing. They're like, man, you do a good job keeping up. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of built for this.
So I can ask, that's perfect because you mentioned that you have the CTS-V wagon.
Yeah.
Now you have another wagon. So what's the attraction to the wagon?
I guess it's a car guy thing. I kind of like the sleeper car, so not everybody knows what it is. And then, I mean, the CTS-V wagon came out, and you're like, oh my god, like I have to have that car. So then I bought it, and then the Volvo, they had this thing at the Chicago Auto Show in 2012 or 13, something like that. And I'm like, man, I have to have that car. And then I was starting to get a little bored with the CTS-V as just, I made it too powerful. It doesn't sound like that's a thing, but I love doing the curves. And I ended up having like 730 wheel horsepower and that kind of thing. And twisties needs a soft foot, and you can only get certain kinds of tires, and those tires break free, and it just didn't work for me anymore. So ended up with this. It was a car in a color that I wanted. It's a beautiful Rebel Blue, and I couldn't be happier. Yes, I'm aware of the RS6 Avant, and yes, I'd love to afford it, but no, I don't have $120,000.
Yeah, that's a big thing. So you also brought up being media car. So what's one of the challenges though? Like what's a because I watched you guys, and it's just crazy to kind of watch because you brought up like people are surprised that you can keep up.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, like Chuck was the other media person, and then Stern, but Chuck was in the CTS-V wagon, so I knew like. But I'm just wondering about like what are your challenges, because I know one of the big things they say is not related to driving is, hey, just slow down so we can actually take pictures of you.
Yeah. So with media car is kind of fun. So I don't know. I know the route just like you guys do, so I'm following GPS. But at the same time, I'm trying to make sure not to kill my cameraman in the back. So had a couple close calls. So you're focusing on the road. I'm focusing on the map. I'm listening to him in the back, try to tell me, hey, move over, slow down a little bit, while all trying to make sure he's in a good spot and then not killing us. Only had one close call, well, two. I almost took him out with one, and then we came around a corner a little too fast. And by a little too fast, I mean, I think I was going 75, 85 miles an hour. Back tire caught the edge of the curb. Whole car went sideways. Saved it. Asked Jeremy Brick. You remember him coming up to me at the next stop. He's like, was that you in the wagon? I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, that's the most amazing save I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. You have to really be with somebody that you can talk and work well with. And I think this is my fourth one with Alex. We work really well together. I know where he needs to be. He knows what my car can do and what I can do for him. So a lot of it's positioning. You've got to find that right spot so that he can get that right shot, and then not so much worry about the drivers, because people like Frank Ball don't exactly slow down. You're like, slow down, Frank, slow down, and right past you. I'm trying to more pace that. So it's fun though. It's a lot of fun. It is definitely more mentally exhausting than just driving.
Yeah, I mean, I had Elia Nostalgic with me.
Yeah.
So we kind of filmed some, like we didn't do, the whole like you got to, but it is definitely interesting to try to get people to realize what's going on. And so like, I mean, I'm in the CTS-V, so I have enough power on the top end to kind of catch up. Like, I'm not saying to everybody, but to some cars, I can do it. So like we'd be trying to get pictures and they're just blowing past. And I'm like, all right, now I gotta floor it, I guess, and we'll catch
Yep.
up. But yeah, it's definitely that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny to watch people go flying past you, and then I'm like, well, I guess they're not getting pictures. I mean, we're not going to chase you. We're not going to chase you. Like, I will look at my rear view. I'll tell him what's coming, and he will tell me if he wants to get pictures or not. I'm like, okay, we'll do it that way.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you originally hear about Crown Rally?
So the guy I bought my car off of is Matt Smith. So he currently has a Focus RS, and at the time he owned the CTS-V wagon. And funny, I wanted one, and just randomly a friend sends me a link. He's like, dude, you got to buy this car. And I'm looked at it. I'm like, man, that is priced right. It's got good miles. It's well built. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to buy that car. So I bought the car sight unseen. And then Matt told me about Crown. And I'm like, well, that sounds interesting. He's like, I think I can get you in. I'm like, yeah, I'd be into that. And then like 20 minutes later, he's like, yep, I got you in Crown. I'm like, okay. And it just kind of gone from there. This would be my sixth year, maybe, I don't know. But it's just an absolute blast and a half.
Yeah.
They just keep kicking it up another notch. I'm like, I don't know how you guys can keep beating it, and you somehow still do. So
What is your favorite thing about Crown? Like aside from the charity aspect, because
yeah,
that's important to you.
really it's the camaraderie. I've met so many people through Crown. I mean, I think if I look at like my friends list with like Justin and Tom, it's like I have like 400 friends in common. And the scary thing is, like, you know, you get a lot of friends like, oh, like, well, I remember who that is. It's like, no, like, I remember them, and then I talk to them, and this is their car. And that's kind of one of the things. It's like, who are you again? It's like, oh, I have this and this and this car. Oh, I know you. It's really the camaraderie. It's just, it's so much fun talking to everybody. Everybody's so cool, and you know, it's not low key, but it kind of feels low key. So it's like I can just go back and chill and talk with my friends and just enjoy myself. It's not like there's any pressure.
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful time.
Yeah, that was one thing that I noticed because this was my first time doing it was
Yeah.
everybody was super nice that I talked to. I didn't talk to everybody because when you're the first year you kind of maybe attach yourself to like one or two people
Yep.
and then you talk to other people. But I mean everybody's been super cool and then obviously you get done and there's this influx of like ads on Facebook and all of a sudden it's okay, like everybody's super cool, which is awesome. But
Yeah, the ads thing is funny. I hate to cut you off. After every event, it's like, oh, there's 30 more people. I'm like, oh yeah, ad. And everybody's wonderful except Larry. And we all know why Larry's Larry. So
right on. So I guess I should say I'm gonna ask you about Rally for a Cause, but the thing to me that really stuck out was how important it actually is to Crown because I did another rally. They talked about it, and I think they brought it into their second year. It was their first time doing a rally with the second year, and then they didn't really talk about it that much.
Yeah.
It was really incredible to actually see like exactly how important it is and how involved it is in Crown. Because it's not like Crown's like, hey, we want you to do this rally. By the way, there's this.
No, it's all together. Yeah. So
it's very front center. So you can probably explain. You already mentioned you're the president.
Yep.
So what exactly, for people that might not know, what exactly is Rally for a Cause?
So Rally for a Cause was started by Justin prior to me at Crown, and it was really just, they didn't want the rally just to be like an event to have fun. They wanted it to give back as well. So they started with a Rally for a Cause hash, and that we started, I got involved in 2016, and we were partnered with the Epilepsy Foundation. We were started raising a lot of money, and I was talking to them like, we got to do something more. It's just, we can have one charitable partner, but when we start getting it ourselves and have our own nonprofit, like our options expand significantly, and not just where we can donate them, but what we can do to raise money. It's no longer just a okay, well, we're going to raise money for these guys and give it to them as a check. We can partner with charities, so then we can work with them together on events, and have them kind of integrate with us. So we started the Rally for a Cause Foundation itself, registered 501c3 nonprofit in 2019. Got to 2021. Yeah, so 2019. God, I still keep my years are off. 2019. So we use the money with cars to kind of get back to more youth charities as best we can. This year was a little different, obviously. We still go with our legacy partner, which is Epilepsy Foundation. So they work to find a cure for epilepsy, so we donated them. We work with a charity called Hear the Cheers. They're part of the Chicago Audiology Society. They work to get kids hearing aids who are involved in sports. So honestly, great cause. Most kids, most hearing aids, I should say, are not covered by insurance. So that it doesn't make sense. Even Medicare doesn't pay for it. So that $3,000 to $6,000 or $7,000 cost is eaten by the family. So we feel that's an incredible cause to donate to. Also the Shriner Hospital. So when I say we wanted to get more interaction with a charity, you can see we had events at the Shriners last year where we had a whole parade of cars, which was, oh God, this is all tying together, so this is gonna be kind of hard. So we had events at the Shriners hospitals last year and this year for the patients, so they could come out and see the cars. Obviously, this year with COVID and social distancing, we had parades instead of an actual car show. But we wanted to do something like that, which is good for us because it gives people that are part of the rally and part of the Rally for a Cause, gives them that good feeling that this is where your money's going, while also having them get exposed to what we do. So it's not just writing a check, it is a check, but then also an event to get them all tied together. We also work with the Illinois State Police Heritage Foundation and the Chicago Policemen's Benevolent Association. I might have that wrong, so don't kill me, CPD. Awesome organizations. They both work with fallen officers' families to help ensure their costs are covered, make sure kids don't ever have to pay for school, things like that. Just wonderful organizations, whatever your stance is on police, they're for fallen officers, so there's really nothing wrong. You can go there. And then also this year, we work with a charity called Direct Relief. They're doing currently a lot of COVID relief. They do generally healthcare relief across the country. But with COVID, we did want to get back to that kind of cause. So we worked with them and sent a very sizable check out to them as well. So very worthwhile causes. When it comes to, the Illinois State Police and the CPD, we did have them help coordinate the parades and then routes out of the city. So not just CPD when we were down in South Carolina, we work with local law enforcement there to help get Crown Rally motorcades over to the children's hospitals, and that's just always a thrill for them to see the Shriners Motor Corps pull up, and then some cops, and then 120 high output cars. So it's always good to see, and I don't do it for that's one thing. It's why do you do nonprofit work? It's like this is my third. I founded two previously, and it's never I don't want that. I don't want the recognition because that's not what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it to see the smile on the kid's face in front of you who may never get to see this kind of car again or have this kind of experience again. It's like that's what I do it for. So it's kind of hard not to just melt. When you see these kids coming up to cars, it's just wonderful.
Right on, that's awesome. I mean, I'm one of the thing that really surprised me was Hear the Cheers, because I actually wear hearing aids.
Yep.
Like, I've had to since I was little. So I know exactly like how big of an impact that is for those kids, because before, like, I was dumb in the sense that when you're young, you don't want to wear, like, I didn't want to wear them because I was self-conscious. Like, I was really, like, I can still hear well enough to get by. But as I got older, I was like, man, I'm missing so much. But it completely changed, like, my confidence level, like, enjoyment just in life, and, like, so many things. Like, I went from being that idiot that wouldn't wear them because I didn't want to be called grandpa by my friends, which, whatever, kids were jerks sometimes. Now, obviously, the generations are a little friendlier to each other for the most part. But in my day, it was not, a pleasant experience. But so to find that out was like one of the coolest things to me, because that's awesome. It's just never something that really gets talked about. Like it's not something that's, a general, that's not the norm. It's not a
No,
normal charity for people to see. And
no,
so,
I can actually give you a little more backstory on them. So it was founded in 2013, 2014. Don't quote me on the year. This girl, Liza Peters, she's hard of hearing. And she got in touch with a woman at ESPN, Sarah Spain. I was already friends with Sarah. I knew her at the time, or boyfriend, and then became fiance and husband. And we'd always kind of wanted to do a project together. Like, I'd supported causes for her and she supported causes for me. And then, when Rally for a Cause got founded, like I reached out to her right away. I'm like, this is it. We're going to do something big. And I think of the money they've raised, I think a quarter of it has come from Rally for a Cause, which that really makes you feel good. And, when the people from Chicago Audiology get back and they are so happy, to get this money, because people, they don't realize how hard this is on people.
no.
So, when you get that kind of impact from them, it's really makes you want to continue what you're doing, and it validates that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is the cost, like you said, it's
Oh,
astronomical. So, like, I'm very fortunate in the sense that my parents growing up were well off. So, it wasn't an issue for them to be like, hey, we're going to do whatever we can for you.
yeah,
But to think about, like, that's not a reality for
no,
a lot of people. Is their parents can't be like, oh, yeah, we're just going to go spend 7 grand and make sure you can hear.
no,
Because
it doesn't happen.
that's that's maybe mortgage for the entire year. Like, hey, we got to keep the roof off over our heads, but
Yep,
sorry,
sorry.
yeah. So that's what is so incredible about it is I don't think people understand the true cost. And then also the other thing that's very lucky for these kids is the technology aspect.
Oh yeah,
It's so much better. When I was young, like it was like people were yelling into a barrel at me. So there's like this weird echo, like it covers up sounds you can already hear well and only enhances what you can't. So there's this
but
weird,
that kind of defeats the purpose.
yeah, exactly. Like, that's how it felt like to me. And like now they're incredible. I mean, I can stream like my TV to them. I can stream my phone to them. I can talk on my phone like through them. It's nuts.
Really?
The technology is amazing. Like now it's to the point where it's almost laughable. Like I used to work for a beer company in sales, and when I was stocking shelves, we weren't allowed to wear headphones, but I just got my phone out and I streamed it to my ears, so I'm like listening to music the whole time.
So I need to know the brand because my dad's hard of hearing, so and he's got hearing aids. So we need to talk
Yeah,
offline.
I'll let you know. This is dope, man. And probably if your dad has housemates, it would be nice probably to have the TV part so that the volume is not at 99
Or have to have subtitles. Yep.
for sure. Cool. Well, that like one other thing that I noticed because I actually look into everything. Like I'm one of those people that kind of tries to get in depth.
Yeah.
So I knew about Sarah Spain, which that's awesome because
Yep.
she's one of the people that kind of always crack me up on
She,
being a
she
mother. But
always speaks her mind. Always speaks her mind.
yeah, so watching that. But then the other thing was just rally for a cause. Like I came home and I was like, I want to know more because I just didn't know enough going in. So
Yep.
when I noticed like it went from 39,000 like the first year to now
Uh-huh.
this year was like 189,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Just shy of 200 grand. And I mean, we set our goal this year at 120, and we're like, COVID, everything's going to be kind of tough. So it's like we're not going to push it. I mean, we hit 118 last year. And we're like, if we hit that again, we'll be happy. And then we come in at just under 200. It's like, oh my lord, that is a lot of money. Um, the more money you get in, it's like, well, then I can give bigger checks to these people. And we don't, I don't take a salary. Tom doesn't take a salary. Justin doesn't. It all goes back in the charity. Yeah, we have our admin expenses, we're legal and all that kind of good stuff. But, you know, I think or something like 5% we keep back to fund operations, and everything else goes out to the charities. So it's really nice to be able to grow the way we have. And this year we're just hoping for bigger and better things. I mean, I think the way that things turned out last year kind of got a lot more competitive, and more competitive is better for us, and I mean better for everybody. So yeah, it's been a wonderful journey growing like this.
Yeah, it was insane because I got to see like when I went to the actual site for last year to see like the team donations.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, I'm never gonna be one of those guys, but that's I mean, uh,
Trust me.
like Paul, like in
Yeah.
what he does with his work, I was like, dude, this is mind blowing. Like this
Mm.
is totally mind blowing to me to see.
He's got that unfair advantage. He's got a restaurant, right?
Right.
I mean, don't say you can't because everybody can. I mean, the first year I came into this, I raised $6,300, literally just word of mouth, talking to people. Don't think you can't raise money because everybody can do it. You just gotta, posting on social media is great. Yes, it is. But I think we all know it's less personal than a lot of other means of communication. And that personal touch is what really kind of hits people home. So if you kind of say that, hey, this means near and dear to me as a one-on-one, it's a lot more impactful than just posting on social media and letting however many people look at it.
Yeah, for sure. I just meant in the sense of like it's so wild. Like the first
Oh,
time you look at that, and I'm like, I mean, I gave $100, and then there's this guy that's like, oh yeah, I got like 50 grand to throw at you. I mean, I knew how he did it. It wasn't like it was one check, but it still is just astonishing to see that.
And that I couldn't be happier. Like they're like, Paul comes up to me, he's like, all right, I'm gonna give you another $2,000. I'm like, what? All right, I'm gonna give him another $4,000. What? I mean, you missed out on our North rally this year. We had two guys going literally, Paul and like literally just what happened on South. We had two guys as Kevin Benema and Paul. They were just going back and forth for it. And like finally it's just like, okay, guys, you both win. Like literally, like they both donated at the same time and they ended up with the same dollar amount. So I'm like, okay, you both win, I'll get you 2 trophies. Because like there was no other way to do it. It's amazing that it's inspired people this way to be competitive and try to not outbid, but out donate each other for the cause. It's really wonderful.
Yeah. So I know, but for people who might not, what does the person who raises the most money get?
So they get a wonderful Rally for a Cause trophy. Changes every year. I have 3 or 4 of them. Before I started working with a nonprofit. So Paul took the title from me. So he's now king every time. I used to be the king. And then they get to start first to lead off the rally. So they get that first starting position, the top 5 spots. We'll go to the top 5 Rally for a Cause donors. So really making it part of the rally as well, not just lip service.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. And it's just beyond me because it's so cool to actually see how important it is to everyone. And again, I go back to like first time was last year for me, and I just did not have a clue. I didn't have an idea, and then to see it, like it motivated me this year to be like, all right, we're gonna try to do what I can. I don't know what that will be, but it's better than $100 like last year. So
I'll put it this way: whether you raise $100 or $10,000, it all means a lot to me. So I don't think a lot of it. It's everybody's raising money for a good cause.
Right. And that's, like I'm not going to be disappointed if I don't, but I mean, the big thing is it's like, okay, now that I understand this, I really want to try to do as much as I can, because if you don't really understand the backstory, exactly what it goes to, how important it is to everyone, because it's like I said, like the other rally, it just seemed like it's kind of this thing to just add to it.
Yeah.
So to really see it and to really see people be like, no, like, that's what this is about, man. This isn't just driving. Like this is really, we want to give back. So it's really cool, and especially with the personal thing. So
that means a lot to me to say it's resonating so well to you. So I appreciate hearing that.
Well, I mean, man, the guy who's going to be my co-pilot this year even said, they said, what one thing that you're really looking forward to? And he's like, he brought up like how well we get treated on the rally, which obviously is completely
insane. Yeah.
But then he also said that they're actually bringing money in for charity. There's a second thing he said, and he hasn't done it yet, so he doesn't even understand. But I told him, I was like, hey man, like this is a bigger deal than what you think. And he's like, oh, okay. And he looked into it. He's like, that's awesome. So
awesome to hear. Awesome to hear.
Yeah. Well, I always do What kind of rapid fire? That's random questions. It's just like,
all right, like hot ones. Let's do it.
yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. So go-to drink to have in the car on long drives.
Great Propel.
Okay.
Random. But
Yeah.
that's what I like.
Must-have item in the car.
Must have, aside of my cell phone, radar detector. Gotta have that radar.
Okay. Best song to drive to.
That's a tough one. Man, I really love music too. So it's like I got all these going through my head. God, what's that song by Deep Purple? Hold on, I gotta look it up. This is gonna be awkward. Hold on.
It's been some interesting.
Hush by Deep Purple.
Okay. Worst ticket you've gotten, and if it was speeding, how fast?
So this is a double-edged sword here. So we've got my ticket for speeding. I got stopped going 86 in a 45. Yeah, it's a bad one. And then that was actually the worst ticket. He wrote it for that. I've been stopped for going 95 in a 45 on the rally. They gave me a lower ticket for that one. I've also, I got in an argument with a cop once, like, it was going from a 45 to a 35. I was going 50. He was sitting behind the 35 sign. So like I was still in the 45 zone. He got me going for 15. Right. He got me going 16 over, I think it was. I argued with him. He's like, are you trying to give me a hard time? I'm like, no. I'm like, but this is just the law. He's like, step out of the car. I'm like, what? He step out of the car. He arrests me for disorderly conduct. I'm like, really? Yeah. I keep telling everybody, I'm like, I gotta go find this mugshot because like I've just got to grin ear to ear. I'm like, man, this thing's getting thrown out in court in like 2 seconds. So I remember showing up to the court date, and the judge, we explained what happened, and the judge looks to the officer. He's like, "Is this true?" And he's like, "Yes, it's true." And he's like, "All right, well, this case is dismissed." And he looks over at the officer. And he's like, "This is a waste of this young man's time, the state's attorney's time, his time, and worst of all, it's a waste of my time." And my attorney's like, go. As the judge kind of chewed out the cop for an absolutely worthless arrest. So yeah, I've been stopped speeding a few times. I think there was about a 10-year span where I averaged a ticket every 13 months. So yeah. I've sent a lot to a lot of money to the legal system for tickets. This is why radar detector is key now.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, not rapid fire,
but no, you're fine. Favorite car related movie?
The Blues Brothers.
There you go. I still am in shock when I just expected everybody to say Fast and Furious.
Nah, Blues Brothers, man.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. Biggest pet peeve related to what other drivers do?
I mean, how long do you have? Probably the biggest one is braking before they get in a turning lane, or not turning a right on red when there's no cameras. Like, go! There's time. Go!
Yeah.
Just can't stand it.
All right, this is one of the weird ones. There's 2 weird ones. If the rest haven't been already, they probably all were. But would you buy an electric or hybrid car, and if so, which one?
Hybrid, the new Volvo V60 wagon, Polestar.
Okay.
I pulled the trigger on one about 6 months ago when they sold it before I could get in there.
Dang. Mm-hmm. What is the ugliest car in history?
Pontiac Aztek. I mean, that's a no. Like, there's no thinking there.
It's getting interesting to hear some of these answers. We'll put it that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Especially my co-pilots. So it's Aztec. It's been mentioned pretty much, I think, by everybody, but it hasn't always actually been the Aztec. So
interesting.
This is one of the. It's a personal preference. So I don't ever think people are right or wrong. Like it's So the question is, do you think doing burnouts slash smoking the tires is cool or not cool?
Sometimes, yeah, big smoky burnout's kind of fun, but like, if you're in like a big group of people and you start doing a burnout, now everybody's gonna smell like, smoke, maybe not. I guess I'm kind of in the middle on it. It kind of depends on the situation. Not to say that I haven't done a big bunch of big smoky burnouts, but maybe I'm getting older and it's just not cool anymore.
Yeah. Well, the thing I look at it is, especially on a CTS-V or like other, like I'm sure Volvo's the same way, but I mean, really, the tires for my car, being Michelin Pilot Sports,
Yeah.
I don't want to go through those. So I don't want to spend $1,600 every 2 months. And what I've said to everybody else is, yeah, if you have a Mustang and you can get $80 Walmart special, go light them up, have fun. But I still won't exactly maybe look at you like you're the coolest dude in the world, but I understand it. But when it's like dudes with like Lambos, then it's like, you're just throwing money. Like they have disposable income.
They got the money.
Right. I understand that. But it's just like, it just seems, I don't know. Money to me is like, why would you waste it if you don't have to?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only time I ever did burnouts in my CTS-Vs was when like the tires were essentially done and I'm replacing them anyways. So it's like, they're bald. Let's cook it.
Right. Okay. So last question is, what is your motto in life?
Fuck it.
Okay. I mean,
it's kind of true. I mean,
yeah,
you got all this bourbon back there. I mean, like, fuck it, enjoy life.
No, I agree. I mean, it's just interesting to see what people say because it can go completely like the way you just mentioned, or it can go like, military something, like profit, or like a business kind of ideals or something. So it's interesting to see what people say.
I've gotten, I'm comfortable where I live, in life, and it's like if I can do something and I can afford it, why not? Fuck it, do it.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I mean, it's what does Zach Galifianakis say in
oh God,
he says he goes, my motto is something, and then he goes that, and everybody Wang Chung tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Like, I definitely agree. I mean, there are times like that was the CTS-V for me, was just one of those moments where I was like, dude, you only live once.
Yep.
So if you can pull it off, then you can do it.
Why not?
Tomorrow's not there. Maybe. You never know.
It literally the thought I've done with my last 4 cars.
Yeah. And it's I don't know about for you when you decide to pull the trigger, but for me, building up the entire time was just like this. The most of me was like, do it. And then there's the other side that's like, man, I'm so nervous about doing this. And I know the bank account, like I know what's there, but it's still like, is this a good idea? Is this really the best idea? And that's generally the good ideas.
No, they're usually not. No.
No.
Sure, you should be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've always led to good things because they're always the things that are fun. Because it's something that ends up being like, that was definitely, I mean, I'm not talking about replacing the water heater. Like, should I really? Like, you have to do that. But
why not?
Yeah. And I mean, I called my dad. I told him I was doing it, and I go, man, I'm not getting younger. I think I just got to start living by that you only live once philosophy.
Yeah.
He's like, I hear you. And that's coming from my dad, who's very analytical, very practical.
Yeah.
He's a math professor. Like, that's not his.
Oh, yeah. Everything's thought through.
So hearing that, I was like, all right, this is the right decision. If the old man's like, yeah, go
for it.
So
it was funny when I bought the Polestar. I was actually traveling for work, and my brother knew I wanted one, and then one came up for a sale here in Chicago, and he sends me an email, and the subject of the email was, "You're going to buy this." I'm like, probably something stupid, whatever. And then I see it's, Chicago Motor Cars. I'm like, oh crap. And then I click on the car. I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna buy this.
What makes it fun though? So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, the last thing, only thing left is just plug anything you want to plug. So Crown Rally, Rally for a Cause, more importantly, anything you have personally, like whatever you want to.
Sure. Rally for a Cause Foundation, www.rally4cause.org, facebook.com/rally for a cause. Raising a lot of money for charity this year. Hopefully we can get you guys involved.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you doing this, man.
Not a problem.